Good evening, everyone. My name is Doug Munch. I'm an alum of MICDS. I graduated in 2005. I had the privilege of connecting with Paul in a way for me to reconnect with the school I attended through the standpoint of someone who works in the solar industry. Paul had actually worked with my company, Straight Up Solar, maybe about a year ago, and installed a solar array on his home. So, of course, as we brainstormed ideas about how I could engage with my school, he had said Anthropocene movie was showing, and this would give me an opportunity to, as a start, talk to the students very briefly about what got me involved in renewables, and then also an opportunity to connect with all these very motivated, intelligent students at MICDS and ask them related questions. So my experience in getting into renewables really started with Proposition C. In 2008, the citizens of Missouri had voted for the state to make a concerted effort towards their renewable portfolio standard, and that meant we wanted more solar, more wind as a part of our energy mix. And then in 2014, those funds were pulled out from under the industry's feet. And so that was the time where I'm reading about this in the Post-Dispatch, and that really got the fire burning in my belly about this. To me, it was clear that you have a very strong will on the part of the citizens of Missouri who wanted something, they got it, and unfortunately that desire couldn't continue to be met by our legislature and by the utility companies that we work with. So I figured if I could take my existing skills in sales and project management and devote them to a solar contractor that could continue to deliver the needs and services that people desired to have a higher level of energy independence and getting energy from where they wanted, retaining the cost savings associated with appliances that help generate energy, because the sun shines in your home almost every day and it doesn't charge you anything for it. Granted, you have to pay for the equipment to get it. And then, of course, the third prong of the decision-making process is environmental. Naturally, we've been running a long experiment of burning solids and liquids to provide the energy we need in our lives. But there's this giant nuclear plant way off in the sky that has been giving us this energy. It is undoubtedly one of the most underused resources that we have that mitigates a lot of the negative consequences we see with burning fossil fuels. So all of those things put together, that got me involved to be with Straight Up Solar. I've been with them now for almost 5 years. But now I like to transition our attention from the movie and my background and start to engage our panelists here today. So I'm going to start just by reading a prompt, and then there's a few questions I'll ask the group at the end. So, group. The pace of change over the past 50 years has been extraordinary. The global economy has expanded fourfold. Over 1 billion people have been lifted out of extreme poverty. We live significantly longer, and childbirth mortality has significantly dropped. Unfortunately, this 19th and 20th century model of economic growth has come at a significant cost to our planet. However, a similar pace of advancement, paired with conservation efforts over the next 50 years, could lead to meaningful and impactful change that helps to ensure environmental and social stability for all people. This is the great hope of sustainability. Current youth will largely be responsible for ushering in this change, and we have therefore decided to interview youth as part of tonight's panel discussion. So the panel group here, we have a total of 4 students, and 3 out of the 4 were honored for their participation in the Molecular Frontiers Journal student competition titled Solutions for Future Earth. Sam is from the class of 2022. Palmer is 2020. Jonah is class of 21, and Alysha is the class of 2020. Sam received the Exceptional Mention honor and was acknowledged during the symposium on the Planet Earth program, while Palmer and Jonah received honorary mentions. All 3 students served as ambassadors to the program and have a chance for their essays to be included in an upcoming book that will be published by World Scientific. Alysha is the head of the Sustainable Futures Club at MICDS. The club has recently been active by initiating new recycling programs and generating awareness around the topics of environmentalism and sustainability. So I have 3 questions for the group. I will communicate all 3 to you all, and then you can pick and choose which one you want to answer. The following 3 questions are: what do you think are some of the biggest, easiest lifestyles that people can make that would immediately benefit our planet? Question 2: what are the greatest technology opportunities ahead that could lead to a sustainable future? And what is different about your generations compared to previous generations that equip young people to be the change leaders of the future?
All right. So I guess on to the first question out of all 3 of them, about what we could do individually to change our lifestyles to help the planet. I don't think it's any individual action that we can change that would make anything better. Rather, it's a mentality change. We need to view everything that we do, from filling our car up, charging our phone, to buying a new shirt, as affecting the environment one way or another. And even just taking into account every single action we do is having some sort of effect can greatly subconsciously make you rethink everything you do, and to help you really consider whether what you're doing is necessary in your life, considering the monumental impact it has on the environment. That being said, I don't think it's just individual change that we need. Climate change is a collective issue brought by collective inaction. So at the end of the day, it's really only through collective action that we can solve any of these issues.
Thank you. I want to go ahead and talk about what makes our generation different from the ones who have come before us. And the short answer is it's our turn. But I don't think you wanted the short answer, did you? We will not pass on our mistakes to our children and our grandchildren. We're either going to solve our mistakes, or there will be no more mistakes. And so to that end, I want to actually talk to my generation now, because we live in a time that requires a strong sense of duty, and not a duty to do what any one person or any one group or organization has already told us to do, but a duty to learn everything that we possibly can, and to question everything, not to be difficult, but to reach out and take anything and everything that is within reach. And only by doing that will we make real substantive change. So you've asked me, what makes our generation unique? And the reality is that our generation is the one with both the most information, but also the most drive to do what must be done. And again, as I've said, it is our turn.
I'd like to answer the same question. I agree with you. I think the biggest thing that sets our generation apart is now we have the internet, and we all use it pretty much every day, whether it's social media or whether it's connecting with people in faraway locations. The internet is now at our disposal, and with that we can use that to find information on how to be more sustainable at homes, or learn about different problems around the world and what we can do to solve them. Because now that we're in contact pretty much everywhere, we have everything at our access, so we can learn how to grow from that, and we can teach each other that.
I would like to address the technology question, and I think it's an interesting thing because technology has taken us so far as a human race, and here we are with so much of it now, but now I think we're realizing that a lot of it has pushed the earth to points that we never intended to happen that way. And so it's hard to say that I think we need more technology, because when you say it like that, it makes it sound like we need more technology that's been doing what it's already been doing, which is destroying the earth. But I think it needs to be, now the shift needs to be to technology that is not benefiting the growth of the human race in a way where we are ignoring everything else around us. I think it needs to be more of a thing where we use this technology to help the earth, to help the human population grow in a sustainable manner. And I would agree that solar energy and sustainable energy is probably the biggest route we have to go. And I think that taking that route also means we have to take an economic route that will support the sustainable energy rather than supporting the non-sustainable energy like coal and oil. Because if our economy is not able to adjust to using sustainable energy, then it's not going to make the push to get there. And I also think that a big issue that a lot of people may not think about is food supply. And this is definitely a little bit more of a controversial thing, but I think GMOs and genetics and modifying a lot of the plants are probably a way that we need to look at a little bit more, because we have pushed the climate to a point where I'm not sure if we can, restore it, and our plants are really suffering. And I think if we kind of think about helping the plants more so that they're not suffering as much in this new climate because they can't adjust as fast as maybe we thought they could, and if we could find ways to genetically modify them so that we're helping them so they can survive through the harsh conditions that we've created, then that would be really beneficial, and famines may not be as frequent or as severe in our future.
And there is a final question for the group here. We saw, I think, what are otherwise daunting images in the film, and I can certainly tell you my experience with straight up solar that energy and optimism tend to make people feel a lot better than doom and gloom. So with that said, group, what inspires you about the future?
I'm gonna be real. Not a whole lot is inspiring me at the moment, but what does inspire me a lot is some of the small steps that we've seen being taken in the past years. I read an article the other day that said that 80% of people 24 or younger believe that climate change should be a priority issue in our government, and that's good to know. And I saw another thing that said that lots of hedge fund managers are now beginning to either demand that their portfolios divest in all of their fossil fuels or reach net carbon zero targets, or they're threatening to pull out all of their investments. So there are small things that you see every day that are good, but there's also still a lot of bad going on. I think that it's important to take both into account to truly look forward.
Yeah, so for what inspires me, I think it's all of you, the people in this room, the people on the stage, the people behind that camera, who are paying attention and who are here and who care about this issue. And it's an issue. We saw the images, and the fact that we have real power does mean something. And I think that as long as we maintain hope, then we won't give up. And as long as it's on the radar, we keep it on the radar, then something will eventually happen, because it has to. I did some math with my friends, and it turns out 329 people working nonstop for 3 weeks can plant enough trees to make Missouri carbon neutral. And I'm not saying that's a useful solution or an effective solution, but just fun math problems like that yield results eventually.
What inspires me are the conversations that I hear and that we have, whether they're good or bad, about climate change. I know that there's a lot of people who, kind of like us, who believe that you need to do something about it. And then there are also people who don't think that it's an issue. But I think that the fact that we're actually having conversations about it and bringing it up and making it aware to the public, or even just to like intermediate friends or family, I think is really important, just to get it out there.
I would have to agree a little bit with Jonah. Actually, it's everyone who is here and who cares about this subject is what inspires me. And I work with kids at the zoo, and they're not super old. They don't really know. They don't, some things they don't need to know right now. It's a little too much, but being able to educate these kids and, just talk about animals or tell them facts and see their eyes light up and, see them really care and really get excited about things that, when I was little, I would get excited about, and here I am now. It's that kind of thing that kind of gives me a little bit of hope that, a lot of these kids will grow up and be like all of us, and then, maybe that growth will be exponential, and there'll be 5 times as many people like us in the future, and, that really is something that I think is important. It's important that we're all here right now, because time is ticking for sure, and we need to do things right now. But it is also important that that doesn't go to waste once, we're all gone. I think it's very important that we continue to, snowball this knowledge and this, everything that we care about needs to be accumulating into every generation beyond this.
I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. I want to take a chance to thank Doug Munch for coming and leading the panel discussion. I want to thank all the panelists for providing your perspective and opinion. And I definitely want to thank Simran Fatak, who introduced the event, and Mr. Ranford for coming in and sharing his perspective with us as well. Feel free to continue to explore the exhibits in the space. We'll keep the room open for a little bit longer if you didn't get a chance to see upstairs and downstairs. We have a number of things that are out on display. But thanks everyone for coming, and drive safe home. Thank you.